the Bucks are in the news today, not about an arena deal, but about Greg Monroe, who James is quite excited about. But let's talk about that arena deal. So it's we talked about it a couple weeks ago. And there's another one of these deals that maybe is a deal or not quite a deal. It's out of the budget. Jason, can you give us a sense of why they took that approach, and does that make it easier or harder for it to pass?
Well, I can tell you why they took that approach. They had no choice. I mean, they wanted to pass it as part of the budget. It would have been easier to pass it as part of the budget. You know, there's this lingering doubt about whether they can pass it at all outside the budget. But they had a majority of Republican senators saying, I do not want this provision as part of the state budget. And so there you go. It's out.
You know, it is interesting that the talk from Madison is that this thing is in jeopardy or that there's some questions about. But I've been in touch with the Bucks and with people close to Walker, and both of them remain incredibly confident that something's going to be done. The question is, does it happen this summer or does it happen in September? It's, you know, some people are even giving me figures saying that they're sure it's 80 to 90% sure that it's going to get done, but it's a very different message that you hear in Madison.
I mean, how many times did the Brewers deal fall apart from Miller Park before it was done? So, I mean, are you nervous about this? I know you support a new arena, but...
Right. I support a new arena. I'm still very confident that it will get done. I just don't, I want to know which politician wants to be the person that votes against it and have the Bradley Center closed by the year 2030, and there's no Bradley Center, and then you look at the Park East and it's abandoned still. I want to know.
Aren't there, Jason, there's lots of politicians who want to be the one to vote against it, right? I mean, if you're from out state somewhere, you don't particularly care much if you can tell your taxpayers you're not giving money to the arena.
Right. I mean, this thing has been up and down in the Capitol. I mean, right now, I would say the sense that I am getting is that it can be passed through the state Senate. I think it can absolutely be passed through the state Assembly. The question is the state Senate. I think it can get through. But hey, let me tell you, I mean, there are some people that are lining up to vote against it. And I'll tell you, they're the kinds of people like, say, Senator Rob Coles. He represents a district that had to, an area that had to tax itself to build Lambeau Field. And so he says, look, these are the Green Bay Packers. They're practically a sacred, part of Wisconsin. And we didn't get any state help. We had to build that for ourselves. And so, you know, a lot of people in his district and Rob himself just say, look, we don't think the Bucks deserve state income tax money any more than the Green Bay Packers did. So, I mean, there are just going to be people that are going to vote no for those reasons.
Two things. One, it was interesting, even their vote on raising taxes for the Green Bay Packers, only 53% of the people voted for that, even though it's much more popular than the Bucks in the state. And then two, in 2010, 2011, the legislature passed a $5 million grant to give to the Bradley Center for the Bucks scoreboard. A very minor thing, something 1/100th the size of what we're talking about. And that was used as a political and campaign issue against a number of Democrats who voted for it. So a lot of people will be nervous that an arena deal for Milwaukee, it would hurt, you know, would be something that the voters in their district, it just won't resonate with.
But we know it's not just a Bucks arena, though. I mean, we need to quit talking about it like only the Bucks benefit. And there's the arena is open 280 plus days out of the season, out of a year, and the Bucks play there 42 games out of a year.
You sound like Robin Voss. I mean, that's true. It has a lot of benefits.
I don't think I've ever been confused with Robin Voss before.
But the thing is, during election season, it's all about who's going to win this seat or that seat and what can you use against them.
True. I mean, everyone would agree, I think, that we need support from all the Milwaukee Democrats, right? To do this, and probably people like Alberta Darling and others who have a good stake in the region. So are the Milwaukee Democrats in the Senate behind it?
I mean, you have Senator Carpenter, who's running for alderman. He's already indicated that he's against. The other ones will probably get on board, but we talked earlier about the season of wheeling and dealing. The season of wheeling and dealing hasn't started on the Bucks arena. If I'm a Democrat in the Senate, I want something in return for voting for this.
Jason, do you think the deal, so there's optimism that this deal could pass, but is it going to need to be reworked at all? I know there's pressure that the city and county should take on a greater proportion of the costs. I mean, what do you see in your crystal ball, how does this actually get through the Senate and then, of course, the Assembly?
Well, I tell you, there's going to be some new wrinkles. I mean, that is just life in general, and certainly it's life in the Marvel Disneyland of the state capitol. I think here's the deal. I mean, this whole thing has been worked out between Republicans and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now they need at least several Democratic senators to vote for this bill. They were never a part of the talks. So, although there were Democrats, the Milwaukee mayor and county exec were involved, but not Democratic lawmakers. Just realistically, they will probably achieve something, right? Some change to the bill or some gain for their constituents elsewhere in exchange for their votes. I mean, that's typically how politics work.